Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. So remember that if you want to be a part of this tech conversation, it's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network to have that conversation with us. Now our Twitter poll is asking if you use emojis. This is after Instagram revealed that the top used emoji on the app this year is the love emoji. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in the show. Startups met up at Seedstars in Tanzania. We also went to a different startup competition that took place in Lagos in Nigeria. And our discussion is on what South Africans have been searching for on Google. Mitch Atakana is here for that one. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Mitch.
Thanks for having me.
So what are we searching for?
How to get pregnant, actually. It's pretty interesting this year.
Oh, wow. Is that one of the top ones?
That's one of the questions people ask.
Yeah, hold it there. We will have a deeper discussion about Google searches later in the program. First, your technology and social media news. Now, a group of new African startups met in Tanzania to discuss tech entrepreneurship, funding and collaboration. They are all African country finalists for the Seedstars competition. I was there too. Relatively new tech startups from across Africa ended up in one room where they were pitching to potential investors. Many are fintech companies. Some are in agriculture, and there were those who offer important services for the home.
I'm from Tanzania, and I'm the founder of Fixture. It's an on-demand digital platform connecting handymen with homeowners and office owners.
They met in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania to learn, share ideas and pitch for more funding for their solutions. Country winners have already received funding from Seedstars.
One, even though there's a growth in smartphones in Tanzania, not everybody's connected to the internet or can afford to pay for an internet package continuously. So whatever you have to build has to work offline to support them. The second thing is security is the top priority in financial services. Kind of obvious, but it was made even more obvious due to the user research. The third thing was people wanted to understand their spending better. In Tanzania, 50% of consumers can't tell you how much money they spent the week before. So I said, these are the three key pillars we want to build our product around.
Those who are in the tech ecosystem say it isn't easy to convince investors to look at new African tech businesses. Some say no one even thinks about their countries. Think the Gambia, for example. When last did the small West African nation cross your mind?
Well, tech innovation in the Gambia is thriving. It's not big compared to other economies, but it's growing and it's growing fast. We've seen a high bulge of high emerging, tech companies, especially from the young people who are trying to get into tech and who bring very interesting innovations.
Organizers of Seedstars say very few think about funding tech startups in emerging markets, but they believe that's where some of the best life solutions are. A Ugandan ultrasound that is affordable has won top honors at a continental-wide competition in Nigeria. It is compatible with tablets, laptops and mobile phones. The new tech works in remote rural communities as well.
M-Scan, a Ugandan company that makes portable ultrasound devices, has won the Tech Trans Startup Battlefield Africa 2018 competition. The event was held in Lagos, Nigeria. Here, 15 startups from 8 African countries compete for the prize money of $25,000. M-Scan won over judges with their ability to make ultrasound scans available and affordable, especially for pregnant women in remote or underprivileged areas in Africa. It uses laptops, tablets and mobile phones.
With the money we've gotten, we are going to make sure that we buy more devices, deploy them to the societies or the low facility setting so that we have ultrasound achieved even in the low resource settings.
450 applications were received from startups from around Africa and pruned down to a final 15. There were 5 from Nigeria, 2 from Ghana, 2 from South Africa, 2 from Uganda, and 1 each from Kenya, Senegal, Zambia, and Tanzania.
It showcases that Africa's startups are on the global map, that we have vibrant, tech community in Africa, and that basically we are solving problems that are, huge problems, and that could lead to innovations that come out of Africa that actually influence the rest of the world.
We can't necessarily entrepreneur our way out of bad governance or what have you. So I think it's really important that actors within the ecosystem also sort of hold government accountable and essentially push for the right policy environment that would ensure that the companies continue to grow.
450 applications were received from startups from around Africa and pruned down to a final 15. Kenya's Silicon Savannah, South Africa's Silicon Cape, and Rwanda's K-Lab are seen as pioneer tech centers, but the rest of the continent is rapidly catching up as internet accessibility and investor appetite improves.
Lagos is really the powerhouse of the startup scene in Africa.
Apart from the cash prize, MScan also gets an all-expense-paid trip to Tech Tranches San Francisco in 2019, which is a 10,000 capacity show that would give them the opportunity to exhibit to a much larger audience and $100 pass.
Well, congratulations to them. Now, a Somali startup is venturing in what might seem like old tech elsewhere, but it's all new in Somalia. They're establishing a business that deals with LED lighting. This will help after years of conflict made many flee and the city of Mogadishu highly dangerous.
Having led the darkness of Somalia's violent lawlessness in the 1990s, Abiy Muhammad is now hoping to bring light to his country in a literal sense.
I wanted to participate in the rebuilding and development of Somalia, and I wanted to create jobs for young people. That's why I came back to Somalia in 2010, even when fighting was still going on in this city.
With the capital Mogadishu enjoying a degree of stability in recent years, Abiy saw an opportunity to establish his LED lights business. According to him, only 20% of Somalia has access to electricity, and in rural areas that dims to just 2%. Companies have come in to supply the energy needed to rebuild Somalia using diesel fuel generators, but electricity isn't cheap. And in a country where the UN says over 40% of the population lives below the poverty line, every cent counts. That's where Ado says his business, Alice Energy, comes in. Its energy-efficient LEDs and solar-powered products like water pumps and fridges are in high demand.
We have a 5-year strategic plan in which we want to meet the demand of LED lights in all the regions of Somalia. And then we want to look at supplying our products to all the countries in the east of Africa.
And it's not just Ado's business that is growing. The International Monetary Fund says the economy is expected to rise by 3.1% this year compared with 2.3% in 2017, suggesting Somalia's future could well be brighter.
Now, after the break, we chat to Mitch Atagana from Google. We chat about Google searches for the year. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Stay with us.
They say cricket is boring. Bon Tata Joma. You and your friends. All of this sweet bowling. And all this music. Thank you, LKG.
Come on, Nana. Bring moody.
I agree. They say cricket is boring. This is T20 cricket like we've never seen it before.
Fast, fun for all. The Mzansi Super League. Live on SABC 3 and SABC Radio.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, Google CEO Sundar Pichai has said that Google doesn't have plans to relaunch in China right now. This leaves many to speculate that it might happen in the future sometime. He was questioned by members of the House of Judiciary Committee. Now, Google pulled out of China in 2010 because of a refusal to be censored in the Asian country. At the time, they also cited security reasons because of cyber attacks. Now, on a different note, let's also not forget that Google is the biggest search engine in the world. 2018 results show that South Africans are really interested in celebrities. Folks at Google say people have been searching for how music DJ Avicii died, what happened to Double HP. Some of the top searches include the ages of Britain's Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle. They also want to know how old a producer, singer and rapper Pharrell Williams is. To tell us more about this is Google's Mitch Atakanan. Hello and thank you very much for joining us, Mitch.
Thank you for having me. I mean, the Pharrell question is really important. We need to know.
Well, you'd be a vampire, maybe?
We need to know.
He's gone through the ages.
You know, he must tell us now.
Yeah. But you also say that they're searching for how to get pregnant. Do you think people would know this in 2018?
Well,
no?
I feel like in every year there's always something interesting in the questions category. A few years ago it was how to bath, then it was how to kiss, now it's how to get pregnant. So I think we're progressing, you know. Maybe next year it'll be how to take care of your children, I don't know.
Do we know what leads to those?
I think sometimes, basically, look, most of the trending searches, and this is from January to December, that's what was trending. So not necessarily all the searches, but things that really popped and things that people were talking about at certain times. So current affairs really informs that. Also, the mind of the nation informs that. For most people, it's probably this was the year they thought, you know what, have the babies so you can start, you know, taking care of them and planning life ahead. Perhaps that's what spurred
Maybe it's part
question.
of current affairs. Former President Jacob Zuma is still at #1.
Of course, Jacob Zuma is #1. Although this time no one searched for Jacob Zuma, they just searched for Zuma.
Okay.
But I mean that made sense because of, again, the resigning this year. So #2 in terms of the personalities category. So that was quite interesting.
So the former president and the new president.
And the new president are both on our list this year. Patrice Motsepe is also on the list.
Yeah.
He donated 3.5 billion for land reform. So it's a very interesting list.
Well, there was also that global citizen festival who brought Beyonce to the country.
This is true, but Beyonce is not on our list.
Oh, really?
Yes, Beyonce is not on our list, interestingly enough. Global Citizens on our list.
Yeah.
Load Shedding is on our list. How much are Global Citizen tickets on our list? Cheryl Zondi is on the list as well this year.
That's current affairs as well.
Yeah, so that's current. That's also part of current affairs. And also our women's list. Winnie Madikizela is #1 on our women's list this year. So it's really interesting to see more local interest and more local content make the list this year.
There was also former Home Affairs Minister Malusi Gigaba. In fact, he was on your top 5 for personalities, was he not?
Yes, he's on that list as well. Yes, I think that it would have been surprising if he wasn't on the list.
Well, many things happened. There was that video that trended. He also resigned from his duties as Home Affairs Minister, resigned as Member of Parliament as well.
He was busy this year. So, you know, of course, people were trying to find information. And that's what these lists show us, is what information people are looking for. People always go, but why is the Gupta's not on the list? I think that information, we have quite a lot of that information already. It's new information. So why did Malusi Gigaba resign? What's up with this video? So there's a lot of new questions that surround certain people that people want to ask, which is why.
And one of the questions is what time the royal wedding is.
I think this royal wedding was particularly interesting for South Africa.
For it to be in the top 10. So it's an event that takes place over an afternoon, and yet it made your top 10 for the year.
I mean, think about this. Meghan Markle, who's also on our list, is the darling of the world right now. She's the Cinderella story. The world wants to know. Also, the last of the 2 royals that we all looked at is now married. So I think they were just very interested in that. But one of my favorite searches, though, is the near me searches, which is really interesting. I mean, McDonald's is on that list, Nando's. But more importantly, jobs near me is the #1 search.
That's interesting.
Which really speaks to the nation, right?
Well, it does, definitely.
So,
people are looking for employment.
People are looking for employment. And I was talking to people yesterday, and they said to me, why jobs near me? What does this insight tell us? I'm like, this is actually not new insight. We've seen this before. And I think you were at our jobs features launch and search, because people need to figure out how to get jobs in this climate, and proximity is a really key issue for them, which is why we launched the jobs near me jobs feature to allow them to be able to look for jobs in that way. But we keep seeing that as well. So it's definitely something to think about in terms of the unemployment rate in the country.
And there's also the death of celebrities. They're interested in Avicii, what happened to Avicii, and they're also interested in Double HP as well. What happened to Double HP?
Yep, and I think that as well, it's a case of there's shocking things that happen. Avicii and WHP are so young. So those things were what happened. But people, they were like, who are these people? Because, you know, fans, when you have cult followings like Avicii did, and people were talking about Avicii, most people are like, who's this guy? So they also went to search to find out who he was. But it's mostly a curiosity of what happened to these people. Deaths always make the list. We see Winnie Mandela on the list. We see Aretha Franklin on the list. So death usually makes the list.
And Mitch, is it possible that this list can still change? There's still 2 weeks left.
There's still 2 weeks left. You know, there's constantly things trending. So, and anyone can find out what's trending around them. So if you're in South Africa, get onto the Google Go app and you'll find out what's trending right in South Africa. So yeah, it's definitely new things will pop up, I'm sure.
All right, so let's hold it there. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Major Tsagana there from Google South Africa. Now, this week, we also caught up with Minister of Communications, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, who told us what her favorite piece of technology is.
Hi, geeks. This is Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams. She's currently serving as the Minister for Communications. And yes, my favorite device or technology is my phone. I can't do without it.
To be a part of something like this makes me proud. And I think that to be able to report the news in a fair, just, independent and impartial way is what the public broadcaster stands for.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Now, Apple plans to open another campus in America. It's just one of the stories that made tech news in the rest of the world.
Let's start in the United States of America. Apple has said that it will spend $1 billion to build a second campus in Austin, Texas. Their Texas campus will house up to 15,000 workers as part of a broader push by U.S. companies to create more domestic jobs. The iPhone maker says there will be a further expansion in America as there are plans to have a physical presence in Seattle, San Diego, and Culver City. The 133-acre campus in Austin will be not far from Apple's existing in the area.
Today we can say Apple is bigger in Texas. We might even be able to say Apple is biggest in Texas, with Apple having the largest number of employees in any company in Austin, Texas. We're very proud of you.
In a different matter, U.S. President Donald Trump says he would intervene with the Justice Department on the arrest of Huawei Chief Financial Officer Meng Wanzhou in Canada. Meng was detained for over a week and faces possible extradition to the U.S. American officials say she misled multinational banks about Iran-linked transactions, putting the banks at risk of violating U.S. sanctions. China isn't happy about this.
We have already made our position clear to the United States and Canada that they should immediately correct their mistake and release Meng Wanzhou.
Now, this week on Twitter, we've been asking if you use emojis. Now, this is because Instagram says the love emoji is the most used on their platform. So 52% of you say you use emojis all the time. That's the majority of you. There's 5% who say never, that's in last place, and 35% say sometimes. There is 8% that's asking what emojis are. You think in 2018 we know what emojis are. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za and email. We leave you with visuals of various robots innovations of 2018. From me and the rest of the network team, have a good day. Bye-bye.